Hello, this is Rap Industry Talk with Michael Cisneros. My fault, I'm actually really close to that light. But I just wanted to get things started. My channel honestly isn't the coolest right now, and I'm not really ready to drop all the hot shit right now. So I'm just letting you guys for food for thought. I'm just gonna keep it G. Like that's the coolest thing about me. Like I just keep it G with y'all, and like I just do what I can to like just sort of like celebrate some dope, with everyone. Rap is just at a big part in history right now, and black people are actually taking over, and I think it's great, and I think that rap music should just be analyzed, and this is what this channel is all about. It's all about analyzing lyrics, all about analyzing the game and how it affects you and how you can come up in the industry. So anyways, this is gonna be about New York City versus mumble rap versus Southside, like Chicago and rap and stuff like that. And first things first, I'm gonna talk about New York City rap, New York rappers. I just pointed at ASAP Rocky because he's a New York rapper. And first things first, I'm gonna start off by like the history. Just to go by in a little general history, hip hop started in New York. It didn't start in the West Coast. It started real. It didn't start as gangsta as it did. I will say that the West Coast started, something real gangsta, and that's what they stole from us, and from the West, from the East, the East Coast stole from the West Coast. So, one thing I want to get for sure is that the East Coast, the New York City rap really has taken over, really took over the '90s and stuff like that, and the early 2000s. Like a lot of people think that New York City rap is like the greatest rap of all time, like Nas and Jay-Z, and you got guys like Mos Def and like Cypress, Tribe Called Quest. My fault. They're from Los Angeles, or I don't know where they're from. I think they're from LA, but yeah, I think New York City rap really will take over, and I think the lyrics are really great. They have, that they really started to motivate. They really started a movement that no other rap will actually take over. And I think the new sort of experimental rap and Chicago rap really started a movement too. But I think that golden era will actually never be defeated. But I don't know. That's just one of my opinions. I think if you make a good song, you're actually taking over whatever the fuck. So, and we're gonna talk about that more in other videos. But I'm just saying that New York City rap will just always be like a golden era. And anyways, so what I want to get for sure is like, one way to think. First things first is New York City rap is just just ill lyricism, and explosive, and it's just like it gets your attention, and the New York accent just kind of hypes you up, it kind of alerts you, and the lyrics kind of just, the beats are really like either real mellow or really like mystic, or kind of like explosive, kind of like sort of like the city, and it could be like a boom boom bap beat or something like that. It's real dope. Everybody likes to listen to it. The freestyles are actually dope. Like when people in New York get together and they freestyle, sometimes people have some crazy shit, and that's how like a lot of people, that's like how like a lot of New York rappers started out. And I think that's really dope. What's his name, Busta Rhymes, and like Mos Def and other people like that. Like that was actually really cool for them to actually start out like that. They were just some rappers that some people that came up on the street and stuff like that, like Biggie and stuff like that. They all started out like that, which was really cool. Like I'm not gonna get into history. This isn't really about history. I might do a video on but I think you can honestly just look it up for yourself. And I already know all the history. I could say it, but it's not really my thing. I don't know. It's just like it started in New York, went to the West Side, then it came back to the East Side. In the 90s blew up. A bunch of fucking people made a bunch of music. Then there's like East Coast West Coast beef, and then then you got guys like Eminem and 50 Cent that started the 2000s era. And then you got like Kanye West and shit, like in Jay-Z that started Rockefeller and all. They got the golden age of Rockefeller, and then the show goes on. So that's just something that you want to pay attention to. Anyways, and one thing and then like that's when like that there was like early Southside like 36 Mafia and stuff like that in the early '90s, but nobody was jumping that shit. Anyways, but uh mumble rap, Southside rap, like like well, actually I said New York City versus mumble rap versus Southside rap. I was gonna say like the South honestly has such a big effect on the industry. You got guys like Lil Wayne, and you got guys like like Ti and shit like that, and those rappers actually have such a good delivery. Like Ti actually has like he actually knows what he's saying on the track, and he has something so different. Like he always comes out with like a different track, like something so different that everybody listens to. Like like Travis Scott does that same shit. He's signed to Grand Hustle and shit. You know, uh, fucking like there's like you got guys like fucking like Lil Wayne and shit. Like he came from Cash Money and shit. He came from Birdman and shit, and all them and shit. And those guys actually are really cool because they actually started a movement. Like Cash Money actually really started a big movement, because I think honestly they're like the biggest pioneers in the Southside rap, because they actually came out with like the nastiest lyrics, and it was inspired by like I'll say 3 6 Mafia, and other guys that were doing it at the same time. Like I don't really know their names because I don't know too much about it, but I'm just saying like I think it was all inspired by them, because like rap is like an umbrella. It comes down, and then you got more people like a tree or whatever, and that's just like the cool thing about it. And there's just like there's just like a fine line between like what you want to listen to and shit. And I think you always gotta like pay attention to like the things that uh, the things that you should be listening to. And that's one thing that you should always point out. You should always want to like you always want to take interest in what you want to listen to. And so I mentioned Southside rap, which was I was actually talking about Chicago rap, because like I would say that Kanye West like really started that movement. It was just him, like he came out with the College Dropout, and then everybody was like, what the fuck is this, like Southside, like Southside drums and all that shit, and like the Midwest and all that, like that's just like dope. Like it wasn't just him, like like I said, like Nelly came out before him and shit, and he's from St. Louis, and his some music is kind of like crazy, like Kanye West and shit, but it sounds nothing like it. You might think it's not, but at the same time it is. But I would like to say that it really started a movement. Like Travis Scott bites off that shit. I mean, Texas isn't too far from it, so I mean, Chicago did really blow him up and shit, and that was really cool. Like nothing like that would ever happen again. Like I think like Vic Mensa, and he came from Chicago, and I say like I think like Twista kind of really made shit jump in and shit like that. Like those guys will always kind of take a name in rap Hall of Fame and shit, rap history and shit. And I think honestly it's honestly like their delivery is just like amazing. They're gonna be like always remembered because they say like the most different shit, and that's why Chicago rap is just amazing, because they just have like, it's just so explosive, and it gets the crowd jumping. Like it could play at Coachella and shit. Like you don't see many New York rappers at Coachella and shit, and you see a lot of people from the South, but everybody wants to hear that loud shit, like that Travis Scott and Kanye West and all that other shit, and those are the guys that started it. So you got to give props to them. And like even what's his name, Chief Keef. Like Chief Keef kind of like created a crazy element in rap, creating that drill, what is it, drill rap and stuff like that. That shit is kind of dope. But anyways, I don't know. And I don't know, I would say that mumble rap, I don't have much to say about it. It came out, the beats are kind of crazy, people rap on it, like Lex Luger and Waka Flocka started that stupid shit, and like they did their thing and shit like that. Future is actually dope as fuck. I think Future is a amazing artist. I'll explain that. I've explained why. I think you kind of get the gist of why he's a good artist because I've explained these kind of things. Experimental, it gets your attention. It's just different. And that's just a big element in rap right now. And rap always and rap forever. That's what creates the longevity in rap. That's the industry. You know, and that's just like a big point right there. And what I want to really get across is like I just wanted to. So you got New York, you got me, you got mumble, you got Southside, and then you got like mumble rap, and then you got like, oh, I forgot to mention West Coast. Like West Coast has like all fucking kill your whole family and all this bullshit, and guns everywhere and my homies and shit and smoking blunts and shit. Like that was actually really cool of them. Like nobody's ever said shit like that. Everybody was like, what the fuck? Like why are you talking about weed so much? Like that was something that was never pointed across. Like that LA lifestyle is like something like that West Coast lifestyle is like was brought out to the map, and nobody ever really did that. Like people in New York talk about the streets and all this bullshit, but they were really talking about lifestyle. So and nobody ever did that. And that was just really cool of them to point out so much different shit. Point out in West Coast rap. So shout out to them and shout out to West Coast rappers and shit. I salute. But I think if I had there's just a big for I would say for now I think I think Midwest rap is really just cracking right now because it's just everybody wants something explosive, and I say either that and like Southside rap. It's just the beats from the south are just really cracking. Like when I would say like even A$AP Rocky uses like 3 6 Mafia and all that, but when Lil Wayne and like Cash Money and like I would say like Gucci Mane started popping out and all those mixtapes started dropping, and that's another video I'm gonna start. That's another thing I want to talk about, like how did mixtape affect the industry and how does it affect listeners and all that. I've listened to thousands of albums, I listened to thousands of music, thousands of songs, so I actually know what the fuck I'm talking about. So don't worry about that, And one thing I want to get across is like those beats actually are created and they're actually those they take hours into listening to like this shit needs to be hard. Like that's something that Southside. That's something that the South did that no one ever did, and it's just what it is. It's genius. It works, but at the same time, nobody wants to listen to it so much because it's so raunchy and shit. And I would say like people like T-Pain kind of saved it because he brought like the snapping and like the like the groovy and like he like that song Buy You Drink is awesome. I think Young Jock kind of fucked it up, but I don't know. I think it's cool. But I don't know. I would say that there's just like there's just so many interesting topics like when it comes to this bullshit, and I'm already at 13 minutes, so I hope that I said like the coolest thing that you heard today, at least. And thank you for watching. This is Rap Industry Talk with Michael Cisneros, and I hope that you will tune in more. So thank you. Goodbye.